All right, shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all being in this episode of the Coma. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Big Q in the building. This is presented by FanDuel, man, your one-stop shop for all betting things. Check out the Super Bowl odds and bets for not only the NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA. It doesn't matter. The one-stop shop and headquarters of betting is FanDuel. Y'all check them out on their app or on their site, man. This is for the family members. Paris, the Saints set to host their first game. Here it is. They're participating in hosting the Paris first NFL regular season game in 2026. This is good information here. NFL will play its first ever regular season game in Paris, France in 2026 as the league continues to focus on global growth efforts and expanding the international game slate to more countries across the world. And the history-making game in France will take place at Stade de France, the country's national stadium, with New Orleans named as one of the participating teams. Bringing a regular season game to Paris in 2026 marks an exciting next step in the continued expansion of the league's global footprint. According to what Goodell said, Paris is one of the world's largest sporting and cultural cities with tremendous success in hosting global events that unite the supporters of the biggest stage. Playing our first ever regular season game at the impressive Stade de France together with New Orleans underlines our continued growth globally and ambitions we look forward to bringing NFL to the passionate support base throughout France. Hosting the first NFL Paris game at the Stade de France reflects a shared ambition and showcases our ability to bring together different sports culturally, delivers operational excellence, and positions France and Paris and France as a welcoming destination for the world's greatest sports events. This is what the NFL said about it. We're excited to play in the first regular season game to be held in Paris, France. This is what Gail said. This moment is special not only because of the strong cultural connection between Louisiana and France, but also because we compete before a growing Saint family base in Paris. I'm grateful to the NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell and the French government, especially Laurent Billy, the ambassador of ambassador of France to the United States. And also hosting the first ever NFL regular season game in Paris is a powerful symbol, right, of France's growing place on a global sporting stage, right? So we're talking about that. So it's going to be pretty cool to watch us go to France on the international series and watch us get an opportunity to compete there against these other teams. So it's going to be interesting. But this is a part of the slate as well, because the Saints have been going back and forth, family, for France. Y'all remember that Demario Davis and Gail was going over there. He was trying to set all this up and arrange and be spokespersons for the NFL. The NFL had their lawyers there and all this kind of stuff, and it was working out, hashing out the agreements, working out what they needed to do, getting the schedule and all this kind of stuff, and they finally were able to do it. It's very interesting because this is big for the Saints internationally speaking, because the NFL is a global game, but the connections between the Saints symbol, the Fleur de Lis, and France was almost like a match made in heaven. It was a good match between it. This should bring the Saints a lot of money, like in terms of growth of its brand into that particular market, which is huge, right? So, and even March, they even talk about it here in the Global Markets Program. This initiative grants global marketing rights to clubs and markets outside the U.S. to build the brand awareness in the fandom. All 32 NFL teams participate in the program with rights across 21 markets. This is a big money deal. NFL has a growing presence in France. Over 14 million people. From flag football, the non-contact format of the game will debut as an Olympic sport in Los Angeles, the Olympics. NFL flagged the league's official youth football program, launched a couple years ago in partnership with the FFA, already reaches over 1,000 boys and girls with no plans to grow participation in years ahead. With plans rather. So it's going to be interesting. The date and time of this particular matchup will be announced very soon. So we'll see what happened here. So they're saying it's we'll see how it all goes and see what time and date when they'll announce this program. But they have 62 regular season NFL games have been played around the world. 62 from London, Berlin, Munich, Frankfurt, Madrid, Dublin, Sao Paulo, Mexico City, Toronto, having all hosted games. The NFL has confirmed for the 2026 regular season international series that they got the game in Melbourne, Australia, right, featuring the Rams. They'll have a game in Brazil, at the Maracana Stadium, one game in Germany, 3 games in the UK, 1 game in Spain, right? And then, of course, our game in Paris, and then the game in Mexico. So this will be interesting to see all this. This is just big market money right here for the Saints and the entire NFL as they continue to push and make. And this year they made a bunch of money, globally speaking, with the deals, the betting deals, all this kind of stuff. They just made a ton of revenue for now, for some people, that question, why is it just money what the NFL is doing with the international series? And I was thinking, I was like, well, what is the plan here? Not just to to find more or more supporters of the league in other places they aren't in the drum up support. Are they potentially trying to create a NFL Europe or something like that? We know they created that. They disbanded it many years ago because it wasn't sustainable. But the three things that I kind of realized to go over with you guys about my thought process on it that they mentioned: number one, the 16 game goal and global expansion. The current plan is to scale the number of regular season games played abroad until every one of the 32 teams plays at least one international game per season, right? 2026 season, the NFL has announced a record 9 international games for this upcoming year. New markets, right? In 2026 will feature the first ever game. We talked about our game in Paris, the Melbourne, Australia game at the cricket grounds. They confirmed locations in London, Munich, Rio de Janeiro, Madrid, Mexico City, and these different places. Now, Mexico also a return to Mexico City after they had the multi-year stadium renovation. NFL didn't want to go down there unless they had the stadium straight. Another idea, second idea, is the international division concept, right? An international division concept rather than a separate league. Goodell has openly discussed the possibility of an international division within the NFL. This would include likely involving multiple European teams, having 4 or more teams based abroad, likely in cities like London, Madrid, Paris, to solve scheduling and travel logistics. How would that work, right? Home and away logistics. Teams would likely to be grouped to minimize transatlantic travel, such as spending several weeks in the U.S. and then several weeks at their international base, right? That's how they're trying to mitigate the traveling of trying to do a league where you have teams in America and teams in Europe. So this is an idea and a concept for it, and all of this other stuff in international is a way of drumming up support and love for the game in these places, and then ultimately bring teams there. And then the third thing is talent development and marketing. NFL is aggressively building the infrastructure to support the expansion without needing a secondary league. So they putting the team in these stadiums that are NFL ready stadiums, getting people salivating for the game of football, and then bringing the game to them. So the international player pathway, the IPP, that's the case for 2026, including 13 athletes from 10 countries, including Nigeria, Japan, Australia, who are training to earn spots on the rosters. We know about that program. We had a kicker here that we currently have in Charlie Smith, who is our starting kicker because of the international player program. The global markets program, teams are now assigned specific international territories for marketing and support engagement. The Bears in Kansas City and Miami have exclusive rights to the Spanish markets, right? And of course, the practice squad exemptions. All 32 clubs now have and reserve 17th practice squad spot specifically for international athletes to ensure global talent has a foothold in the league. So you kind of getting other countries, people involved in the U.S., and then having stories going back to those countries about their player being in the NFL. So it's an interesting strategy. And if anybody got the ability to pull it off, it's the NFL, because they have all this influence and they damn sure have all the bread. So that's my thoughts on it. Y'all let me know in the comment section how y'all feel about playing in Paris and then potentially having an international division. How do y'all feel about that? Light up the comment section. Let me know. Y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. By all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed. Big Q representing the Who Dat Nation. I'm going to holler at you on the next one. Much love, peace, and peace.